The American food market can sometimes seem like a daunting place. Shelves upon shelves are lined with different produce that can sometimes make the average consumer feel overwhelmed. Today, I had the opportunity to sit down and talk with Arizona State University nutrition professor Sarah Martinelli to talk about some basic rules of thumb when it comes to the American food landscape.
When we say eat healthy, that's also somewhat kind of ambiguous. It depends on what you define healthy, and so there are a lot of people who say if you have to only eat plants to be healthy, and there are people who say you have to eat certain smoothies or certain whatever, right? So the definition of what is healthy is somewhat ambiguous, and that in and of itself is a hurdle, right? Because there's so many fads that sort of cluster and cloud out the marketplace that I think some people get overwhelmed and they just throw their hands up and say, whatever, I'm just going to eat what's in front of me. So that's one issue. But the reason why, as dietitians and nutrition professionals, we promote things like whole grains and fresh fruits and vegetables has to do with their micronutrient content, for one. So they're high in vitamins and minerals. And all of those vitamins and minerals have very distinct functions, but cumulatively, they basically are going to make you feel better. You're going to be better able to concentrate, to perform physical activity, not just working at the gym, but even taking care of your family or walking to your car, and all of those things would be supported by those micronutrients.
After talking about the benefits of eating healthy, I wanted to know what Martinelli thought about another popular topic, farmers markets.
I think farmers markets are actually a fabulous way for people to connect with farmers, because of what a lot of what we see in health and nutrition is that we're getting further and further away from the source of our food. And so I have worked in school food cafeterias where students have never seen a fresh pear before, or they've never seen fresh honeydew melon or something like that. They might have had those flavors in gummies or something, but they've never actually held one in their hands. And so that is a problem, because if you don't recognize the food, you're not going to consume it. And a lot of that has to do with people not eating at home often, or relying on processed foods. So farmers markets are a way for people to get to know their farmers, because often the farmer's the one right there doing the selling, and sort of see food in its more natural state, as opposed to processed or packaged in a way that's maybe not as recognizable.
Most Americans, including myself, are curious about the difference in nutritional value between fresh, frozen, and canned fruits and vegetables. Thankfully, Martinelli had an answer for this complex question as well.
All three can definitely contribute to a healthy diet. We have to consider food access as a benefit to some of those. And so frozen and canned can definitely be part of a healthy diet. I would prefer frozen over canned, just because some of the canned items, as you mentioned, have excess salt to preserve them in the can, but not all of them. And especially now, you can find salt-free versions of those canned items. The benefits of canned and frozen is that they're often canned and frozen very quickly, so within hours of being removed from the ground. And so in that sense, they actually retain more of their nutrients if they're stored properly.
However, while these frozen foods may be high in nutrients, there is still some concern about other hidden ingredients that might cause a once healthy product to become tainted.
Frozen vegetables can be a fabulous option. You're not losing any nutrients by freezing them. Now, there are some caveats, because now that people are looking for convenience, there's all these frozen foods with cheese sauce and Alfredo sauce, and so that's not the same. You can't compare that, because obviously the sauce adds a lot of salt and fat and whatever else might be in it. But by itself, some fresh broccoli compared to some frozen broccoli, those would be, I would say, nutritionally equivalent. Some would argue the frozen might even be better because it was flash frozen so quickly, where their broccoli, if it's coming from southern Mexico, might have been picked 7-10 days ago before it gets to your plate, and it can lose some of its nutritional quality. Again, a benefit of the other two options is that food access. So if you can only go shopping once a month, then you can stock up on fruits and veggies and still have access to those over a longer period of time.
To wrap up the interview, I had one last question for Martinelli. What is the best way to cook your food to maintain the maximum amount of nutrients?
It's vegetables where you might lose some of your nutrients if you overcook them. So it's generally best to just steam or very lightly boil any fruits and veggies rather than overcook them. Because the more you cook them, the more likely you are to break down some of the nutrients, not all of them, and sort of leach them out. So just lightly cooking fruits and vegetables, steaming, is their best option.
This has been Sarah Madrigal reporting for Farms Race for Water. Thanks for watching.